the stillness, we find wisdom.
In reflection, we find growth.
Welcome to Soulful Reflections, conversations for the soul.
And lessons for life.
Whether you're searching for personal growth,
A little inspiration, or finding peace in the chaos.
you have come to the right place.
I'm Katharina.
And I'm Peter Gay.
And together,
we will explore life's beauty.
challenges and everything in between.
Let's begin this beautiful journey.
Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Soulful Reflection. I'm Katharina,
And I'm Peter Gay.
and we are so excited to have you share this space with us where we can breathe, reflect, and reconnect with what truly matters. So, for today's episode, we will be speaking about finding God in everyday moments.
Yes, this was a topic when it came up that both of us actually loved. And I remember when we were deciding on the topic, and we were
Right.
like, "Hey, we should do this one." I mean, we're doing it over WhatsApp, but I think both of us were maybe like cheesing. I was cheesing. I was just like, yeah, it just warmed my heart.
That's the feeling that I had too as
Yeah.
well. I was like, oh, wow, this feels very gentle,
Yes.
very peaceful,
Yes,
very
yes.
inviting.
It did. It did. It just. I was cheesing also. I was just like, yeah, this so.
No, I understand. But before we dive into the conversation, we have some reflection questions that we want to open with. When you think about encountering God, do you imagine big moments or quiet everyday ones? Have you ever experienced a simple moment that felt deeply spiritual or meaningful? What does God's presence feel like personally to you? So think about those questions, ponder on them a bit as we dive into today's conversation.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
So, how often, PG, would you say we overlook God while waiting for the bigger something to happen? So many times we try to see God in the grander experiences. So, how often do you think we overlook the small, little everyday moments?
Well, if I'm speaking for myself,
Right.
I actually see God so much in the small, personally. I actually see him so much in the small moments. But I think why maybe a lot of people maybe overlook some of and just wait or anticipate or look for only the big things. I think
Right.
because he's a big God.
Mm-hmm.
And then growing up, I think you just hear about God and miracles and
Right.
a lot of the Bible, I don't want to say Bible stories, but the Bible truths,
Mm-hmm.
because they actually happened. It was these grand things, Noah's
Right.
Ark,
Right.
the parting of the Red Sea, and all those type of stuff. So I just think like those things were just so focused on Daniel and the Lion's Den. They were just focused on and highlighted so much
Right.
for those of us that, maybe grew up in church or had that upbringing. And even if you didn't grow up in church, once you hear about God, Bible, you just think big.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just think big. So I assume, I can't speak for everybody,
Right.
but I assume that
Can
maybe
be a factor.
contributed, yeah, to, just looking out for the big things and missing the little things.
No, I agree. And to add on to what you're saying too as well. I think because like you said, rightfully, we see God as big. Like, he can handle the big things.
Yeah.
So then there are certain small things that we deem as small. And it's like, okay, you know what? I handle this. I got this. So God ain't got to deal with that. I can handle it because it seems like something that is within your control.
Right.
That you can handle on your own. And compound onto that as well. I would say sometimes we get so busy to going on to the next thing that
It's on to the next thing.
we're so focused on, okay,
Yeah.
what's the next thing on the agenda? Let me go ahead and try to get this accomplished. Let me get this done. Okay, I have this calendar, this is coming up next. Okay, let us
Yeah.
go to the next. Let us go to the
Right,
next.
right.
Or sometimes, we just probably have so much different noise, like noise in our head that is so loud around us. So many, for lack of better words, distractions, not necessarily bad distractions.
Correct.
It could be good distractions too as well. But everything that goes on in life that We are not pausing to take the time and recognize him even in the small moments too.
There's power in the pause.
I like that.
There is
What in the
power in the
pause?
pause. Yes, yes. I actually saw that on another podcast.
Okay.
Not in St. Martin, but
Yes, yes, yes.
out of Jamaica, and they were like, "There's power in the pause."
That is true.
And just now, while you're saying that, like because we're so busy, on to
Yeah.
the next, we don't get to be still.
Be still.
We
Be
don't get
still.
to be still and really take in,
Yeah. Yeah.
the little things of God, because the little things matter to God.
They do matter. They do matter. They do
They
matter.
matter. He's a God of the details
Hmm.
and of the little things. So yeah, they matter to him, but I just think we're just always so busy.
On
On
to
to
the
the
next,
next, on
on
to
to
the
the
next.
next.
We don't get our time to settle.
And I don't know about you, but there are some routines per se. If we pause, if we apply the
Mm-hmm.
power of the pause,
Mm-hmm.
we would be able to realize that God is present in those routines as well.
Mm-hmm.
It can be whether you are cooking,
For
washing
sure.
dishes, you're
For
home, or
sure.
having a conversation. What are some everyday places or routines for you have seen God being present?
Everywhere. Everywhere. No, no joke. I think personally, like I
Hmm.
said, no, man, I think I actually recognize God more in the small things
Right.
all the time. Like there's times when I'm cooking, when you're at work, when I'm driving,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know? And like I cannot come up now with like remember an actual situation, but sometimes I'm driving and then something happens and I'm like, I just start to laugh and I look up and I'm like, you funny. You funny. I saw what you did there. Like you
Yeah.
funny, and I could just literally maybe picture him laughing,
Right. Right.
So for me it's in literally everything. When I'm at home, when I'm at
Mm-hmm.
work, when I'm with friends, just everything. So basic example, and I'm only laughing because I actually saw a meme that say black people they find a parking and look at God and
It is true. It is true. It is true. Guilty.
exactly. So I was gonna say that is one too. Sometimes you're circling and then you're like, and or maybe like I come down and then you're like, shucks, I'm too late. I won't find a parking close enough.
Right.
And then I bust the corner and then there is a park. I'm like, looking, So for me, even
Mm-hmm.
in those small things, because my experiences, those things matter to God. Like if it concerns you,
Mm-hmm. It
it
concerns him.
concerns him.
No, I agree.
And no matter how little, and to me that's just him reminding us like
Mm-hmm.
you matter. Even the small things that you think don't matter, you know, I got you. That type of way.
I agree, PG. I
Yeah.
agree. And it's the same for me as well. I know for sure some routines I would say like for you, rightfully as you said,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
every sphere, everywhere that we turn, if we are pausing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and realizing we can see him there in those areas as well, being present. And like you gave the example of the parking. I have one example when I was in college. I remember it was a time where, when you're in college, every penny counts. Every penny counts.
Ow.
It counts, right?
Yeah.
Everything adds up. And I remember, boy, it was like down to the wire,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
down to the wire. And I was like, God, I need money to put in my car to get to church. I need money to, do XYZ. But I wasn't
But
really,
wait, you had a car while going to college, girl? Wow.
well, actually, I had it after I finished
Oh,
first,
okay, okay.
the first half. I got it after the first, the first half, the
Oh,
first
they in
year or
Texas.
two. No, man. No. But yes, I was like, and I just said it briefly like that, not really
Mm-hmm.
pondering.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, PG, while I was at church, someone sat next to me and my birthday was the next day. I would never forget it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My birthday was the next day. And the individual turned to me and they was like, open your hand. Open my hand. Here it is. They greased my hands. You know, as the well, people ever say they grease your hand.
I haven't heard that. Sorry, okay. Continue.
No, they blessed me with
Oh,
that. And that person
that.
didn't even know the next day was my birthday. And then here it is again. I was in the parking lot somewhere at Walmart. Walking normally, I find some cash on the floor. And it was like that for the next few days. But just finding cash on the floor at random places. And I was just
Hello,
like,
God.
what? You know, so when you say every day, everywhere we can find him or whatever he's concerns us, he's also concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, in addition to that, regular conversations. Sometimes someone might say something and it's a confirmation that you're waiting
Yeah.
for, and it comes up just like that. Yes. Even like somebody can text you, like a random text message. And I was just like, okay, God, like what? And another recent example we had, my brother and I went on a walk, right? A
Mm-hmm.
walkathon that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And the sole of my shoe started coming up. So here it's making this flip floppy noise. And I was like, oh my, what am I going to do with this? So I'm like trying to walk because we're almost at the end,
Yeah.
of it. My brother simply turned and he said, if we find a piece of string, I could like tie the front piece of it to the sole, like to tie it up to the sole. I kid you not.
So
We
people
walk
have
like,
a string. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I kid you not. We walk like 5 steps after. He looked over to the right and he
And
was like, tell me if God ain't cared. Here is a piece of
you
pie.
lie.
No, I'm so serious.
That's why I said we will find a piece of string.
Right,
Oh, what?
because we're walking, but whatever we're concerned about, he is concerned.
Yes.
And here it is, he was like, but look at God. Went over right down the side, take the string,
What are
try
the
to tie it up.
odds?
What are the odds? What are the odds? I mean, it didn't really last for long. I had to rip off the whole soul. But going back to the point, he heard us and he provided
Yeah. Immediate.
immediately, like just 5 steps after, and there that string was. So, he's everywhere. Like you said, he is everywhere in every routine. We can feel him, we can see him, just for us to pause and realize it.
Definitely, definitely. I definitely agree with that. How would you say though
Mhm.
that we can
Right.
train our minds and hearts to become more aware of God's presence? Like, what do you think about that? What can we do? Do you
Mhm.
think, first of all, do you think it's natural? Like people, some people just have it and can sense him, and
Mhm.
some people can't. Do you think we can really train our minds and hearts to feel him more
Mhm.
every day, to be more aware of
Sure.
it, I should say?
I think we can. I think we can. Um, First of all, that stillness, as you say, finding those moments to really pause
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and just take some deep breaths. I think that is one area, first of all, where we can start to train ourselves and be like, okay, God, you know what? I have this prayer. I hope you're hearing me somewhere out there. And start to look for it too as well. Don't just be like, okay, hey, I said it to God,
Seek and you shall find.
I prayed, but have that expectation
Yeah,
too as
yeah,
well
yeah.
that it's gonna work
Mm-hmm,
and that then you're gonna see him show up on your
mm-hmm,
behalf.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think the more that we start to read his word more, the more that we spend time with him,
Mm-hmm.
he
Definitely.
becomes familiar because then you tend to know more about him and how he works and how he moves. So I believe we can train ourselves so even with praying too as well. Like if you pray and you ask God, God, I want to feel you more. I want to see you show up more in certain areas. He will do it. He will do it. And like you said, seek him
And you shall find.
and you shall find him.
And he's such a gentleman. He's such a gentleman. Ask him, and then he's just gonna come through. And I think also too, if we, they say, have an attitude of gratitude, if we are,
Yes.
that I think makes you be more, makes
Right.
one become more aware,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
the Bible also says in
True.
everything give thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an attitude of gratitude, I think that helps us to be
True.
more aware.
Yeah.
When you're just grateful for everything, when you realize, like I made a post
Mm-hmm.
today, yesterday, can't remember,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, Like I posted like a workout reel or a video and I was like, this is such a gift to move your body
Yes. Yes.
that all your limbs work, your joints were in her little
Mhm.
aches here and there. But, you know, it's such a gift. And I always believed that, but it became more real to me when I was in Panama with my mom and
Right.
she wasn't well, but there was so many other people not well.
Mhm.
People having to be pushed around in wheelchair. I was pushing my mom around in wheelchair, and that was because she had a knee problem. And I thought, what a gift it is
Mhm.
to really move your body, like your fingers, because there were people that
Right.
couldn't move their, such a normal movement that we
That we take
take
for
for
granted.
granted,
Yeah.
and you're like, my God, this is really a gift to be able to move, do squats, whatever it is you're doing,
It's true.
walking,
It's
running,
true.
it's still such a gift. And after that trip,
Mhm.
it really just,
Oh, yeah.
so whatever opportunity I'm going to get to move my body, I want to be able to do it
Right. I
because
agree.
God forbid, you just never know what the future
That is true.
holds.
That is
So
true.
even in that, I think also like an attitude of gratitude
Gratitude.
helps us to be more aware
Mhm. Mhm.
of his presence
Yes.
and the gifts, and the grace and all that stuff
Yeah.
that
And
that is out there, that he is really everywhere. And
mhm.
nature, let's not even go there,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But speaking of nature,
Yeah.
because it can be seen as a small moment or a small thing,
Okay.
because we just think, oh, the mountains, the beach, the oceans there.
Right.
And yeah, it's a normal thing and it's supposed to be. But do you believe God speaks through small moments? And what might that look like?
I do believe that he speaks through small moments. And I'll give you an example. I was driving in my car to come and record here,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And that was on my mind because this is a season of really and truly being stretched and having to trust God. Not
mm-hmm.
just where you say, okay, God, I trust you. And then certain things you want to go still hold on to. No, this is a season of where
You're in
God,
control.
I trust you. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally
Because it's not in your
surrender and
control. Yeah,
control
yeah.
is there. Like no matter how I turn it,
Mm-hmm,
it just has to be trusted.
mm-hmm,
So this is the season of being stretched. So while coming in the car and
mm-hmm.
just there, you know, focusing on the episodes that are gonna be taped and stuff, I literally felt like this hand rest on my shoulder. Like I kid you not. When I tell you PG, it kind of like freaked me out a bit
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
because I know I was alone in the car. So I did like a double take.
Right.
I was like, is
Wow.
somebody like was although I know no one is there, I was just like, what is going on?
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
wasn't my hair because my hair was pulled back.
Mhm, mhm.
And I was like, all right, God, that's a small moment that you
That
that,
is
like a
was a big moment.
big, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big,
like the
small.
I
Right, right,
when I say
right, right.
small, I mean like not anything that is grandeur, like out there, like that is publicly could be
You
so
think that
seen.
judgment.
But I think that touched
Yeah. So you ever thought about it? Like,
yeah, I thought about it. I think it meant I got you. Like I am with you. And I also looked it up too as well.
mm,
Because like when you have dreams and certain
yeah, yeah, yeah.
encounters and stuff,
Mhm, mhm.
I like to look it up too. Or even ask some of my mentors, like, what do you think this means? And that was part of the meanings actually that was found too as well. And I shared it with someone. And then they were also telling me
Mhm.
of an experience that they heard someone else had. So I know I wasn't going crazy. You understand? But it's in those moments like that that he speaks sometimes. And the thing is with God, like he doesn't have a loud roar or loud thunder. And I think sometimes that's how we can sometimes miss him too as well. Because like you said in the beginning, he's a gentleman
Mhm, mhm.
and his whole thing is relationship. So relationship means also closeness.
Mhm.
So If he's concerned about developing a relationship with you and being close with you, there's no reason sometimes for him to be all out there. It can be like a soft whisper.
Or if he close, he don't need to shout.
Exactly. So it's like a soft
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
whisper,
yeah, 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 yeah,
a
yeah.
gentle tap, or it can be something that is seen on the television screen, or so many different small ways. I believe that
Definitely.
in those quiet moments, he speaks in various ways.
Right, right, right. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, but that's a big thing for me. If you feel like a touch, I'm like, what? I don't want to feel your touch. Touch me. Really, Bridget? Yeah, because I think that's so awesome. That's so amazing, like I think that's really, 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 really good. So that was a moment there, but
Yeah.
what about do you feel like God speaks through other people?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Other like, like a thought, a little nudge,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
I've
Definitely.
I've had how would you say? God has his way of doing things sometimes, like you're questioning him in your prayers or you may be
Yeah.
uncertain about certain things, you're not sure. And then I had it last week. Yeah. So there was this person that I know her, but it's not like, you're talking to, not, it's not someone that you're relating. When I say relating, like relating on,
Right.
that knows maybe what you're going through.
Right.
I know her, grew up with her, and now her daughter attends our youth meeting. And
Mm.
she just messaged one morning, I'm coming from the gym. And she sends me, I see a voice note from her. So I think, it's something about her daughter.
Right. Right. Right.
And she's just like, hey, you've been on my mind, da 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 da. And I've been putting off, you know, I've been putting off sending this message because getting busy, caught up. And this morning I decided, no, I have to send you a voice note. And she was just like, I'm going to pray for you. And let me
Mm.
tell you,
Mm.
the lady started to pray Katharina, like hitting boom,
Yep. Yep.
boom. And I was like, what? And sometimes that's how he works. Like he
Mm.
uses people that don't
Yep.
even know your situation. And can I tell you, the lady touched on everything
Mhm.
in the prayer
Yeah.
so much that I've even replayed the prayer
Right.
just
Right.
to remind myself.
Correct.
And I'm telling you, as I'm driving and listening, tears just coming because I'm
Hmm.
like, wow. And I needed that reassurance in
Yes.
that moment,
Yes.
and sometimes it's like that. And then, because I was having some little doubts and questions. And then even after that, there were just a series of different people. They were like, how are you? What's
Mhm.
going on? You've been on my mind. Da, da, da. And the message that I've been getting, like literally from everybody different who maybe don't even know each other and know that they're talking to me at the same time is God's got you.
Yeah.
God's got you. God's got you. God's got you. So those has recent small moments that were so powerful for me.
Mm.
I told you, like I said, I've replayed that prayer
Yeah.
times and I'm gonna replay it again.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
So that is just amazing. That's just some of the everyday moments for me personally, or like when you're having a bad
Mm.
day and when you look, just some jokes come along because laughter is medicine,
Right.
and then something happened and then you're like, oh my gosh, I really needed this laugh.
Right. No, I agree.
I really needed this laugh. I really needed this laugh today. And that's just amazing. Any examples, any experience that you want to share with people?
Oh,
Yeah.
um, probably a few weeks back, I remember we were at the gym and
God shows up in the gym to y'all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he does. He does. He does. And we were at the gym and we were ending and our trainer was praying for us. So similar to you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like you as well. And it's not something that we do all the time after, but I think something had happened that time. I can't recall. I think my other gym buddy, she probably had like um, a slight pain,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
during workout. So we decided to close out in prayer.
Right, right.
And, she started praying about certain things when it concerns me. And I turned to her and I said, you know, I don't like you. But I was joking
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
yeah,
said
yeah,
that. I
yeah. I
was
know, I
joking.
know.
And she started laughing. I was just like, wow. I was like, wow. And not just in the prayers too as well, but like you rightfully said, someone could walk up to you, these random strangers walk up to you and tell you something, and I'm just like, okay, God, I hear you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I hear you. And when we have those moments where, like you said, those things that you don't think that he would send a random stranger to come and speak to you, or have your trainer pray for you, or have someone send you a voice note. But then you realize that he is always listening and he already knows. But like you said, that reassurance that he gives you, that he is God and I'm going to show you what I can do. You might be looking for me in one area to get that answer in
Sit
one
right there,
area,
right there.
but I'm going to show you how much I love you
Mhm.
and the extent to which I would go to prove my love for you by doing all of these little things that you may not even think about me working, because you're looking for me in one other way. But I'm
And
gonna
looking
send
for the big
someone.
bang
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
I'm gonna send someone with a word.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you see something. I'm gonna let you feel my presence in a deeper way, just so you know that I'm still around.
No, you mentioned something about thinking,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there might be the naysayers,
Mm-hmm.
right? That may be like, it could just be your thoughts, it could just be a coincidence,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you know
Mm-hmm.
it is God and not merely your thoughts or a coincidence, so to speak? How are you assured
Mm-hmm.
that this is God that show up in those moments, even in those small moments?
Moments?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question, PG. And when I think about it, there are
Mhm,
moments sometimes that your thoughts, and you could believe or think that, you hear God.
mhm.
Like, it would happen.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
would definitely happen.
Mhm,
Not saying no. Maybe for some people,
mhm.
they might have a different answer for that.
Right.
But for me, there are some times where it's like, I think this is it. But am I really like sure that this is it?
Mhm,
But I think one thing that has worked, like, sometimes is when you remember the scripture and the word and you try to align it to see what it is
mhm,
really,
mhm, mhm.
then you can kind of
Yeah,
decipher and realize, okay, but
yeah.
this is not what God's word says. So if it's not matching what his word says,
Mhm, mhm.
then most likely is my mind, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
me thinking, somewhere along that line. So I think that is one measure as to how we can try to decipher,
Right. But it's
those
yeah, yeah,
days
yeah,
when
yeah.
you're like in doubt and you're like,
Mhm,
really and
mhm,
truly.
mhm.
And I think sometimes too as well, exercising that patience and waiting it out, then you might see another person that comes to give you a confirmation. And then you realize, okay, yeah, God, that really was
Right.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
So then
yeah,
the
yeah,
next
yeah.
time when he tries to speak and you try to wonder, then you can be like, oh no, I think, based on my last previous
And that's what he
experience.
does too, is
Yeah.
to send that confirmation
Hmm.
sometime when it's hard for us to decipher whether it's
Yeah.
our thoughts or
Yeah.
or himself, God.
Right.
You're like when you're not sure and then he's so good at that he just said, okay, you're not sure. Boom.
Hmm.
Sending someone else. But so while I think there are moments, yes, where, you might have a little struggle between, is this God? Is this my
Right.
thoughts? Is this wishful thinking? Is this
Yes, yes,
what?
yes.
There are moments when it is no question,
Hmm.
no doubt in your mind that this is definitely God. Because who else it going to be? Who else it going to be? And I had that moment with
Hmm.
the lady and the prayer. I was like,
Yes.
what? I was like, impossible. Listen, when I say the lady hit,
Hmm.
like when I was listening to the voice note, the way she was hitting
Right.
direct, it was like
It's got to
something
be God.
piercing me.
Because you didn't have a conversation with her.
I did not have a conversation with her, right? And she's not somebody that I would have,
Yeah.
right? Because she's
Yeah.
not in like a friend circle, just kind of like family, but
Mhm.
Yeah, just, "Hey, how you doing? You good?" That type
Right.
of thing. So when that lady started to pray, it was just connecting with me in a way, I tell you, tears while driving, tears. And then that was a moment I was like, "Mm-mm, this is God because how is she gonna know?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
How is she gonna know? You know? Amazing, amazing. You're amazing."
And when we think,
Go
sorry, you
ahead.
was gonna say
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
so,
ahead.
and when we think about, as we speak about routines and
Mhm.
in everyday moments, how do you think that we could be intentional with inviting God into our daily schedule? What would it look like?
Well, personally, I can
Mhm.
only share what I do personally is like, God, first of all, you actually invite him, I give him a verbal invitation,
Mhm.
to let him, and maybe yes, he knows what's on my heart, but just think of a relationship, like, hello, you want to assume you want to hear it verbally,
Mhm.
so I would like, God, guide my day,
Yeah.
lead my day, right? So it starts there with a actual invitation.
Yes.
But then now actually it's enough to sometime pause, the power of the pause again, and slow down when your day is going
Mhm.
and things get a little busy, then you're like, okay, let me slow down, especially if it's maybe like a little big decision or something, or like, God, is this of you? Like, or what should I do?
Mhm.
So you even have those moments where when it actually comes up now, you are, you ask the question and then you pause a little bit because I don't know. So the Bible speaks about this, the particular scriptures not coming to mind, but it's just in the quiet moments, the still moments, the just gentle moments, that he speaks, that he shows up,
Mhm.
So that's what I would say. So a verbal invitation,
Right.
like, welcome, come be with me in my day. And then also, lead my day.
Right.
Lead me, guide me, give me the wisdom. That's usually like a prayer, standard prayer every day. Give me the wisdom and also like, may I represent you
Right.
throughout this day as well in my actions, So that's so verbal and then power of the pause, sometimes to slow down and
Mhm.
be like, okay, God, what to do? Okay, how to go about this, how to go about that's well, practically, no expert here, but just sharing my
No,
experience.
I mean, for me, it's basically the same. Like, early in the morning, similar to what Christ did when he woke up early in the morning and he communed with the Father
Mm-hmm.
first thing in the morning. That's something for me that, is important. Sometimes that bed hugs you so tight.
Tight, tight.
And you're like, man, even though you want to lay in the hug and
Yes.
open your mouth and pray to God at the same time, like simultaneously, sometimes it don't always work because it's so like cozy and comfortable. So you just start talking to the Father and lay back. But no, I would say, for me, it's like you rightfully said, verbalizing it, and saying, God, you order my steps. Like
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
guide my
definitely.
steps. This is a brand new morning and you take the lead. And when speaking about it from that lens of using prayer
Mhm,
to verbalize, I just say verbalizing, using prayer, the same thing to invite God in. I remember watching this sermon from one of the online pastors I was
mhm,
listening, and he was speaking about prayer. He was like, God is such a gentleman. Sometimes we have to be the ones to invite him in. Of course, he could come and he could invade and he could do what he wants because he's our sovereign God.
mhm,
But at the same time, he is waiting, for that request to be like, okay, God, you have your way. Like, I want you
mhm,
to be
mm,
a part of my day. I intentionally want you to lead me, guide me, because I want your best. Like, I want your purpose to be revealed and to be done. So, like you rightfully said, is about inviting him in to our situations. Like scripture says, lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him.
mhm.
That is being intentional
Preach on, sister. Mhm,
with our trust with God. That's really being intentional in that area. So the different areas in our lives
mhm,
as we go about, whether it's trusting, forgiving, or making tough decisions. And
Mhm.
the list goes on and
Yeah,
on
yeah,
and
yeah,
on
yeah,
because
yeah.
our days are filled with so many different things. It's about being mindful, like having that
Right.
mind and being like, okay, God, I need your wisdom. I need your help in this area. And that's where the intentionality, at least for me, starts. Sometimes we get so busy, of course, we forget. But
Yeah.
when we come back to that remembrance,
What's his name? Jonathan McReynolds. He has a
oh, the
song.
song,
Yeah, that says, "I'm inviting you in my
um,
situation."
um,
Yeah, I'm just inviting you
that's one of the
in
ones.
my sit. No, it's not.
Okay,
It's not. No, it's old actually.
okay, I ain't hear
And
that
he's
one
like,
yet.
"I'm inviting you in my situation." And you mentioned that,
Yeah.
so it's like it's so good because we don't have to. We can just have our situation and trying to solve it at our own.
And he give us free will.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, all right, you go through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do your thing.
You get
Do
to
your
say it
thing.
because you got free will.
Yeah, and I've
But it
blessed
makes
you
a
with a certain
difference.
amount of, knowledge, whatever. So go ahead, skills, yeah.
But nah, that's the type of commune and relationship and fellowship I believe that he desires
Hmm.
from us with our day to day as we go about day
Yeah,
to
he
day.
wants us to freely choose him,
Yes.
freely, willingly, lovingly choose him.
Right.
He's not going to impose himself on us. That's just the beauty.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the beauty of it. That's just the beauty of him. And
Right.
another everyday moment that I see God show up all the time, and I will always talk about it for me personally. It's with
Mm-hmm.
this podcast.
Mm.
It's with this podcast. I'm telling you, this podcast does so much for me. I
Right.
was having today was a rough day for me,
Mm-hmm.
actually, if I'm being honest. Today was a little emotionally
Right.
driven day for me, right? And yeah, shooting now, I just feel like I'm cheesing and just even reflecting on talking about this now, like God in everyday moments, like, and I'm really reflecting and I'm like, God, you really been good, And sometimes life really gets busy, and sometimes I don't forget because like I said, tend to see him mostly in the small moments. But
Yes.
just based on the day that I had
Mm-hmm.
earlier, and then now
Right.
doing this now and having this conversation, it's like another everyday moment, and it might seem so simple to others,
Mm-hmm.
but so meaningful
To you.
for me, and it does so much for me. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go home on a high.
So would you consider this to be like your sacred moment? Because when I say sacred moment or like where you feel God's presence or where you can commune with him. Because some people for them, I've heard people say so many different places where they have it as their sacred places where they really feel like God speaks to them. So I know one individual told me, like when they're washing dishes,
I've had that.
they have that download, and it's always when they're
I've had
washing
that.
dishes, that conversation with God flows, and it's one thing to the next, that exchange. Then I know I had one other person mention when they're in the bathroom, they have that moment too. Someone mentioned in the car, so do you have like a sacred moment or a sacred routine that you feel that's you and God's space really and truly?
Yeah, so I've had sacred moments in different places,
Okay, okay,
right?
okay.
Like I've had one in particular washing the dishes years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I've had it in the car. I've had it in different moments, but mostly
Mm-hmm.
it's early in the morning when I wake up to do my devotion. When I do wake up, sometimes it's a struggle, but when I do, when the house is quiet and stuff, like I have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Those are my most sacred moments happen there. And yes, this soulful reflections is also one of them. Is also one of them. It just, like I said before,
Mm-hmm.
it just feels like purpose. It just feels like purpose. And I love that the podcast has the Christ centered, faith based undertones, depending on the different topics.
Right.
It always kind of comes back to that because, I'm not perfect, but my goal, my desire is that my life would reflect Him in
Yes.
the everyday
Everything.
moments
Purpose and everything.
to others as well. What about you? What are
Yeah.
some of your sacred moments
Or I would
with
say
the Lord?
with the Lord, no, I would say like years gone by, my favorite moments would be in my room, especially when I was in college.
Mm.
It was my room, and it would be like midnight, 1 o'clock. Like those were the hours where I was like, all right, okay, God, I'm here again, How was the day? This is it. I feel like I'm
Mm.
gonna pour out. And I would
Mm.
stay there like in those hours. And then being back home now, it's that morning devotion time. Early in the morning, that wusa, it's like, all right, God,
There's something about early in the mornings,
early in the
huh?
morning,
It's something about early in the mornings.
and it sets the tone for
Yeah.
the rest of the day, at
Yeah.
least, for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There's something about early in the morning. Me know what it is, but there's something about early in the morning. It's our early morning time. Early morning gym, early morning. Oh my gosh. But how can you, Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
So we mentioned before about like how people, how God shows up
Right.
through people for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we know that yeah, prayers and stuff like that, and there might be actual acts, where we're in need, like you mentioned, somebody touch up your hand, grease up your hand there when you were in college, and then you know, but how can we
Mm-hmm.
as individuals be a reflection of God in someone else's everyday moment?
Ah.
How can we be that?
Mm-hmm.
How can God use us to be that to others in their everyday moments? And you could just maybe give an example of how you've been that someone.
Um, I would say the same way that he impresses on other people's hearts would be the same way to try and be in tune with him as well. So, for example, if somebody is really on my mind, like I haven't seen this person for a
Right.
while or
Mm-hmm,
whatever,
mm-hmm.
is being obedient to say, hey, you know what? Let me give you a text. I haven't seen you in a while. I didn't see you, but I just wanted to reach out to you. And the person might be like, you know what? Da, 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 da.
Yeah, yeah, that is.
And you realize, okay,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm,
okay.
mhm.
So I think it's the same way how he works is for us to really be intentional with his leading in terms of whatever he's directing us to do, to say, or sometimes it could be just to pray for that person.
Right,
It
right,
may
right,
not
right.
be to reach out to them per se, but
Mm-hmm,
they come to
mm-hmm.
your mind and it's like, okay, you know what? Let me just send up a prayer quickly for that person.
Right, right, right.
So I think those are ways that we can also be there for individuals too. It's vice versa. It's the same thing throughout.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we need each other, right? He uses us to bless one another. Uses us to bless one another. For me, I would say, what I see happening, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to add on to what you say, like if someone is on your mind, you reach out to them and stuff like that. It's amazing how God will just place people on your heart or on your mind, and He does the same with you, with others, But also for me, I give a lot of grace and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way. I try to demonstrate God to others and be
Right.
there for them in their everyday moments, you know, and of course, tangibly as well. So if it's where, a little
Mm-hmm.
greasing of the hand is needed or a little tutups here, a little gas or a little grocery, you do things like that. But
Yeah.
for me, what I find my recurring thing, how he uses me then
Mm.
is that grace, that understanding, giving that advice, giving that space also for
Right.
people. Because, lately, I don't know what's going on. Earth I run red, but a lot of people going through a lot of stuff
Yeah.
and dealing with a lot of heavy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so you're dealing too, but then so many other people are dealing, and we still have to show up and
Yeah.
be there for each other. So we try to be that for them. So if a
Mhm.
person needs a space to vent and just,
Definitely.
I need a moment, I can't handle this, capacity is low, whatever, whatever, you give that grace and you give that understanding, and I try to do that even in the professional sphere because I'm a manager at my job. So I'm responsible for,
Right.
other colleagues. And, you try to be there for them in that way, So if they're having a moment, okay, no problem. You need to take a break. Do you want to go take a, or hey, maybe you need to go home for the day.
Mhm.
Those type of stuff. That's also how you can demonstrate,
Right.
and reflect God. Be there for them in their everyday moment.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree.
So, yeah, that's good. Thank
Would
you
you
so
say
much
it's
for this.
harder to trust God when nothing big is happening and why?
Wow. It can be. It can be because sometimes the small things are great and I love the small things.
Mhm.
But sometimes are the big thing you need. Like
Like,
you
God, you
really,
there with me?
yeah, right. No,
God, you
for
there?
real. So you,
Listen.
right, exactly. So you trust him, yes, and So sometimes but then sometimes, especially if it's taking long, the big thing is taking long, and then
Mhm.
you start to wonder, will it even ever happen?
Captain, right.
Because his ways are not always. So we might want this thing, and then he has a different plan. But yes, it can be hard.
Mhm.
I find, especially if you need something miraculous to happen and it'll take long. What about you? Do you
No,
think
I
it's harder to trust him?
it 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 can be harder to trust him, especially like you said, it can be weightier. It can be like,
Like, oh, pressure.
God, if this don't happen, I seeing XYZ is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I need you to show up. To really show up. You understand? To really show up. But at one point it can get like that sometimes.
Hmm.
And then I think, you know, he might send something along the way or someone along the way.
Yes, yes,
Might be
yes.
like, okay, remember I did XYZ in the past for you?
Yes.
Remember I did XYZ in the past for you? So if I did it, you're gonna
You
have
can
to
do
trust
it
me to
again.
exactly that I can do it again. And like you rightfully said, his timing is not our timing. And I think that's what makes it hard too as well, because we want it when we want it, not when God wants
But not
it.
just that, too. We can only see from a particular angle though,
Yeah.
right? And he has a 360 and we might only have a 90-degree or a 180 and he has a 360. So I think maybe based on our limited vision,
Right.
we seem like, God, if this don't happen today or tomorrow, this is it, God. This is it. And then the waiting is not nice. The waiting is
But
not
it's
nice.
also to what we do in the waiting too as
And
well.
how we wait.
Yeah. What's our posture in our waiting too as well.
Yeah, but suppose your posture like good for a while and then after start to slouch, man, because you waited too long. Sometimes you try to have a good posture
Mhm.
and maybe you do have a good
True.
posture for the most, but then in the end, like it's like a race you're running. And you start out with vigor and might
I think God, this is taking too long.
and then coming on to the end,
I
no, you get
understand.
tired.
Mhm.
Tired, you know?
But how do you think we can stay spiritually connected in seasons that feel ordinary or even dull?
That's
How
a
can we
good
stay
one.
connected in
That's a
seasons
good
that may
question.
feel ordinary or even dull?
That's a good question. Because sometimes when it's ordinary, or I interpret that as like normal, when things
Mhm.
just going,
Mhm.
there's no trials and tribulations and it's not going super great, but it's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
That can be a challenge for people. But I think it boils down to discipline at the end of the day. That discipline, because discipline is like even doing it, it's good for you. So even when you don't feel like or not motivated to, you're still doing it,
Right.
which will entail, your prayer, your relationship, reading the word, those type of stuff, doing what you have to do to keep building up that spirit, man.
Right.
So I would just say it boils down to discipline in those dull moments because let's face it, man, all the time we're going to feel motivated. It's not all the time we're going to want to pray. It's not all the time we want to read the word because that is not all the time I want to do that.
Yes, yes.
But it's like, that, hey, it's just like food. It's just like we eating every day. You understand? You just know you got to do it. And after a while, because if you don't, then after you might get hungry, belly growling, dizzy spells, all kind of things happen to you.
No,
So
I
just
agree.
picture that in the spiritual, so then you
Mhm.
just do it because, hey, this is good for me. I know that in the moment I don't feel like,
Correct.
doing it, but this is good for me, so I need that. So I know it's not a sexy word, it's not a cutesy word, but
Mm. No, I agree with you,
that's what
PV.
it
I
is.
agree. It's maintaining and staying the course,
Mhm.
even in those, like having that view and saying, it might not feel good today.
Mhm.
It might not feel brighter tomorrow,
Mhm.
but you try to encourage yourself. Like you said, that
Yeah,
discipline, through
that too.
that discipline, you
Encourage
encourage
yourself.
yourself and you're like, hey, one day it's probably going to get better. It's
Yeah.
probably going to get
Because this is a marathon and this ain't a sprint. And in marathons, it's a whole thing and you get tired after a while. It's not like a nine, what was Bold record? 9.58. Shout
better.
out. Yeah, it's not like a 9.58. This is marathons. Some marathons are like an hour or more.
Right.
And the distance, so you really have to, yeah, it's a marathon, man, not a sprint.
It's true. It is a
So it
marathon.
really discipline,
Yes.
So that brings me now to a question that like you say, in the dull moments. But so with a challenging time in all the seasons, what are some simple practices that can help
Hmm.
you stay connected to God daily? I mean, I think we kind of touch on them here and there, but
Yeah.
just narrow them down, just some simple practices. What do you think that we can, stay connected? Because, we can become disconnected from God,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Simple practices. Mm, I think if we try to get into certain habits, like having certain things become a part of us, that is one way that we can try to stay connected. So, for example, if we're accustomed in the morning time,
Mhm.
having that music
Yeah.
playing, that gospel music playing while you're turning around in the home.
It does help, eh?
Oh, yes, it does. While you have that happening, that is one way. Just creating habits and
Mhm.
trying to keep those habits going,
Mhm.
I believe,
Mhm.
would help us to stay connected. Whether it's, you have a certain time where you say, hey, I know I want to get up at XYZ time for sure.
Mhm.
Get into the habit of certain things. And I think that would help to stay connected. It might not be where you nail it every day, but
Right,
I think
right,
once
right.
you develop certain habits, they become a part of you to an extent, and that can help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that too, coupled with, like you said, setting like,
Mhm.
it's like a date. Setting like a date, It's like, I mean, if you going out on a date with your husband, your significant other, you don't want to stand them up,
Yeah.
you know? You don't want to stand them up and just, yeah, being intentional and developing those habits, which will take discipline. So not
Full
cute.
circle moment.
Yeah. So not cutesy stuff, but you just gotta just go for it and do it, which can be hard because there's so much distractions.
I agree.
There's so much distractions. And I think that's one of the reasons why I prefer like early mornings. Because I feel like early morning, well, a lot of times, sometimes you wake up and your mind is still full, but a lot of times you're kind of like a blank canvas in a way, you know?
Mhm.
And no cars are driving you home, you wake up, because after that now, once you get out the house, it's like you're driving,
Mhm.
school, this, and you don't know what happening while on your way, and then you go to work and then you come home and then you're tired and then so that's why too, I just think there's just like so much power in the mornings. I mean, some people do their stuff at night and that works for
Right.
them, but
Right.
I just find like at that time, sometimes just the weight of everyday life is on you. And then it's kind of hard
Right.
to take off. But I think like, like also like journaling too as well.
Yep.
Having like a little prayer diary and
That helps.
praying,
Yep.
but then also stillness, being still.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you having those times with God, a lot of times sometimes we think we're doing like all this talking and then we don't like try to just sit. It might seem weird in the beginning, but trust me,
It
it
does.
helps.
It helps. It helps.
Because he comes in the
Still moment.
still moment.
Power of the pause.
Power of the pause.
Power
Power of
of
the
the
pause.
pause.
So what that looks like for me, I would just like play some instrumental. So no words, nothing, just some soft instrumental. And I just sit there in the couch. And I'm just like, God, I'm here. What do you have to say?
Right.
That type of way. So practically, that's what it looks like for me.
Okay.
Or sometimes there's just no music, and I just lay down in my bed and I look up in the ceiling, and I'm like, "Tell me, what is it? Where do you want?"
Mhm.
Because sometimes, I could talk, so we always talking, asking God for things, and we want Him to do this and we want Him to do that, you know. And if I may, I saw something the other day
Mhm.
on Instagram, and the lady was saying like, can't remember exactly, but she was saying like she realized like when she's praying, she's like praying that God help me this, help my husband this, help my son this, and realize that it's so self-centered, right? It's so self-centered, and
Mhm.
like I guess she got convicted, and it was like, no, she needs to also pray for other
Other people.
people, pray for other people, other things that's going on in the world, and so on and so on. And then she was saying like, like that's what she started doing.
Yes.
So less of her, because then now after a while too, sometimes we can maybe become idle in our own prayers
Yeah. 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 That is true.
in a way. And that just really resonated with me. So that is now something now I'm trying to be intent. So
Aware. Yeah.
yeah, so you pray for other people. Yes, you do it, but maybe you don't do it as often as maybe you should.
Agree.
And it's not to say don't pray for yourself, but have a balance, because sometimes you're just asking God for things all the time for us.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, PG, this episode today has been one that has certainly caused us to reflect
Yeah.
and
It
pause
really did. It really did.
about God's presence
Yeah.
wherever we go.
Yeah.
So,
Everyday moments.
everyday moments. So, soulful seed for today, PG. What's our soulful seed?
Yes. So our soulful seed. This was a good conversation. Actually, all the conversations let's be good. Anyway, so our soulful seed for today, which is a thought or thoughts, a collection of
Mhm.
thoughts that you can ponder on, that we hope will encourage and edify you. So we often look for God in the extraordinary, in the big breakthroughs, the loud answers, the life changing moments. But what if God is just as present in the quiet,
Mm.
in the morning light that gently wakes you, in the deep breath you didn't have to earn, in a kind word, a pause, a moment of peace you can't quite explain? God is not distant, waiting only on the grand moments. He is near, in the ordinary, the routine, the unnoticed spaces of your day. I love that.
Mm.
Maybe the question is not where God is, but am I paying attention? Are you paying attention?
Mm.
Because when you slow down, when you become still, you may realize He's been there all along.
Mm. That's good. That's good.
I love that, especially in the unnoticed spaces of your day.
That's good.
Yes, love that.
So we want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in today and listening to us.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to seeing you
Yes.
at the next episode. Until then, stay soulful.
Stay soulful. Bye.
You didn't just say this. You took a knife and you cut me deep.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yes, that is a fact.
Hurt people hurt
Yes.
people.
So now when you,
GTS.
oh yeah. So now when you go deep and you open yourself to deal with those issues, to heal and to live a life of, being whole, then you're like, okay, you know what? No, that's not good. Let me stop this. Let me pull this back. Like, this ain't totally wrong, but I don't need it here. I'm safe here. And that takes a journey. That takes being honest. That takes being real. That takes wanting to grow. People don't always grow. People, their bodies get older and they get wrinkly.
It can grow too.
Yeah, artificially. But
Thank you for sharing this space with us.
If today's reflection resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Until next time,
Keep nurturing your soul.
and keep planting seeds of wisdom and love.